Well, when you look at that win going in where you could get swept, you're facing Strider. You have a lefty on the mound who's a rookie. You're facing a lineup that mashes lefties.
And he got smashed.
He got smashed. Okay. Strider strikes out 12.
Huh.
The bottom half of your lineup to start that game, all due respect to all those gentlemen.
That's what I'm saying.
That was the lineup that at the beginning of the year, those guys were in AAA.
Yeah.
Read it off. Like no one thought Capel was going to be.
It was after Gorman. So your top five, legit. After Gorman, Nootbaar, Capel, Sosa, Romine. Now Carlson comes in. Obviously Pujols and Edman come in. But the second half of your lineup for that game, that was your kind of getaway day lineup situation.
Yeah. Sosa made a good play at third.
No,
did.
the play of the game was Carlson.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he tracks that ball in left center.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think anyone thought he was going to catch it. And not only that, but then he turns around and doubles up the runner.
Yep.
That's the game-saving play. That's the play of the game right there because it's over if he don't get there.
And watching that game, it felt like a must-win game for a million reasons. Obviously, to end the road trip, to not get swept. But as you're getting into extra innings and you realize that, all right, you got another big series coming up at home versus the Phillies, a good team who beat you 2 out of 3 the weekend before.
Yep.
And you've used Hicks for 2 innings. You've used Helsley for 2+. Knowing those guys most likely will not be pitching tonight. It was one of those games where now your bullpen is already taxed for tonight. You're going to see Gio again, I would think, but you're not going to see Helsley and Hicks. So if they didn't win that game, there's already ramifications tonight on the bullpen. So the fact that you were able to squeak that victory out was massive.
Yep. No question about it. And, like a guy like Packy now suddenly, here's my thing. Like, that bridge was the problem, right? The bridge. We got to get to the end of the game guys. Now we got bridge guys. Now we don't have starters. Like everything, it's almost like with this team, the blanket just wasn't big enough, right? So you pull it up and now your toes are sticking out. Yep. Pull it down, now there's always a piece sticking out, and part of that is due to injury. And I said this before. I think they got to go get another starter. I think we're at the point they got to do it. And I want them to go get Lance Lynn.
$18 million
for 2. I think it's 36 over 2. Now the White Sox are going nowhere. They've had their share of issues. Perhaps they would eat a little of the contract. I don't know. But see, my thing is, I don't want them, and this is not a shot at Mo, because there's only certain things that, there's only certain players available, certain guys legitimate. Like, you're not going to get a guy from the Reds, I don't think, because they're not going to go in division. So your options are limited. And now starting pitchers have gotten hurt in the last few days, so there's more teams that are going to need starting pitching. So I don't want them to just bring in a guy. I want them to bring in like a difference maker. And I can't imagine anyone more motivated to come to the Cardinals and just stuff it than Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
I just wonder, though, White Sox.
He's 35.
You make the big move with Tony last year. You were good last year, but you didn't make a run in the postseason. You're only 4.5 games out. You have a team that is ready to win right now. I just don't see them dealing.
You're probably right.
Unfortunately. I love Lance Lynn.
Yeah. I liked you and Lancey Lynn going toe-to-toe in the dugout, Jimmy.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he is cool, man. He's entertaining. Big boy, too. Sanderson chimes in. Cardinals made Strider look like Nolan Ryan.
He's pretty good, though.
Yeah, he was throwing heat.
He makes a lot of teams look bad.
Yeah, he does. Sanderson chimes in and goes, if they take care of the Phillies this weekend, they could salvage the 11-game stretch against good NL East teams.
And then the Braves lineup, like, compare it to the Phillies. And obviously the Phillies don't have Harper. But, I mean, that Braves lineup, I think it dwarfs everybody's lineup. I know we haven't seen the Dodgers yet. There are great lineups. But of the teams that they've seen so far,
they're good.
Right? That's the scariest lineup. I don't even think it's close.
I think the Phillies have a good lineup, too. But both those teams have a ton of power. I mean, they have a lot of guys that can hurt you. And when you add Duvall, it really lengthens that lineup if you have Ozuna, Duvall hitting
They
5,
don't have
6.
Albies.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Strider is a stud. Just the text line, he's got a 2.6 ERA. He has 102 strikeouts in 65 2/3 innings. He's striking out
He's
everyone.
Everybody.
Yes.
Everyone in
That's how it
baseball
goes.
right now.
But that's why That's why I think it was an impressive win. So Liberatore has gotten whacked. You know, he's gotten knocked around. He's learning, right? It's his first taste of major league competition. Yep. And then you got a guy who's just killing everyone in Strider. On paper, Cards have no chance in that game, especially with the way that the Braves can hit. And I give Liberatore and Hicks a ton of credit.
Pujols had a couple hits, didn't he? Or did he? He made a. I forgot what he did.
Sack fly.
That's fine. We'll take that from you.
A couple hits the night before.
He looked a little painful running the bases.
He also got a barrel of peaches.
Oh, lovely!
That's part of the tribute from.
Did you have money on that game last night, Sir Nathaniel? I heard you did.
Yeah. I
did. The Cardinals?
I took the run line for the Braves, and it didn't work. So
why do I laugh at people when they lose
bets.
money?
But when they bet against the Cardinals and they lose, you could laugh at them.
Sure.
Well, yeah.
You win bets, you lose bets.
That's the way it goes, baby.
Bets.
The bets.
But I put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah. Where's your mouth?
Right here.
Good, man. Hey, by the way, we got a gift card we're handing out.
Yeah.
Do we got that still? Okay.
We do.
So next week we got the $25 gift card today for the post. I got the name in line. I know exactly who I'm going to give it to. He's been kicking ass and taking names for a long time. And we'll get into that in the 9:30 segment. But next week, we're going to give out a $25 gift card to Play It Again Sports.
Correct.
So if you got kids in the game, man, that $25 off. And Play It Again has everything, dude. Jimmy, you know about that. You know, Tyler getting cleats or whatever.
So I have two favorite stores, okay? For hardware, Ace. That's my local hardware store. I love going in there. But the number one is Play It Again Sports because they do – it's not a big store. They cram everything you need in there. And the great thing is when your kid outgrows stuff or there's equipment he's not using anymore, just take it in. They give you money for it. And even if you're getting something new there because they got new and used, you got that money that's like a giant discount off what you're buying.
Yeah, so get them in. Charlie, what are you doing this weekend, dude? I am going to El Monstero. I'm going to do it Saturday night, man. It's going to be beautiful out. I can't wait. What do you got going?
Little taekwondo lesson today, little swim lesson tomorrow. Nothing planned. I think my wife actually, we might be getting a babysitter Saturday night, so we may go out.
Oh.
I don't know if that's 100%, but I feel like that was.
What would you do?
Sometimes my wife talks, and I should be listening to everything she says, but I'll be watching a big Cardinals game. And then the only reason I don't get everything she says is because for this show, I have to be 100% prepared.
Can I be honest with you? Because I wanted to invite you and your wife to El Monstero. But my wife's like, I don't want to hang out for the first time at a damn concert when you can't even talk to each other. And I'm like, I kind of get that.
But first of all, you and I know each other.
Yeah, I know.
I know Kate pretty well because of obviously Top Shooters. She was there a lot. And my wife and Kate have met, I believe, a couple times at the old Randy parties.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, though. Like at a concert, like,
I got you.
You're jamming out. Like it's hard to it's hard to talk to somebody. So
I have a great alternative.
What's up?
I'll invite both of you to come with us to Dude Perfect on Saturday.
Define that.
Are they coming to town? So they have live shows? Yes. Where at?
I don't know. I didn't get the tickets.
Dome?
I'm assuming Enterprise.
Really?
I think so.
So they can fill that place up?
I guess.
Wow.
I think that's where it is.
But what do they do exactly, Jimmy?
Okay, so for people who don't know what Dude Perfect is, if you have kids, your kids, especially if they're boys, they love it.
Yeah.
It started like as doing trick shots on YouTube or whatever.
With like a basketball, with
every sport,
okay?
And there's like a mix of jackass to it too, like they do crazy stunts. But then they built this thing into all kinds of sports related stuff. And now they're all multimillionaires. They have their own facility and they do like TV shows and everything.
So they come in to St. Louis like a rock band. Well, they'll have their cars or their big buses. Then they'll have their equipment.
Yeah.
And they'll go around to the locker room.
Yeah.
Then they set it all up, put it out, and then they go out there and perform.
I guess they'll talk to the crowd and then they'll do some of the stuff they do in their shows.
What if they miss all the shots?
I want my money back.
I mean, right? I mean, because then when you see them on TikTok and they're doing these shots, they did it 50,000 times before they made it. So
my guess is that there's entertainment built into it. My kid wants to go. He loves it.
Yeah, man, I get you. I get you on that. Sir, you're going out there too, Sir Nathaniel, to watch that?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm not going. I mean, not because I don't know. I don't really know Dude Perfect.
You should be in Dude Perfect.
Should I know
You'd be
that?
perfect for him, yeah. You're a good golfer. You played high school baseball. You could fit right in.
I'm playing a lot of golf this weekend. Today, tomorrow, Sunday. Might go to the Birds game Saturday.
Oh, dang dog.
You going to come say hi this time?
Maybe.
Probably not.
It's going to be a lot of... There's a group of 6 people that I went to high school with that are coming in town to go to a game.
Warson Woods clique?
No, they're not. They're not really Warson Woods clique. Actually, I believe this clique is more Chesterfield area.
Oh.
Which, that's kind of out in the boonies for a guy like me. I don't really go west of 270 too
Well,
often.
that's on you.
Warson Woods is more elite than Chesterfield.
100%.
Yeah. All right.
No doubt.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, as a community, no, as property value and everything per capita, I guess. Yeah.
Average income.
Average income. Where are you playing? Nate Brony wants to know. I'm sure Big Mike wants to know too.
I'm playing Annbriar today. I'm playing the Bluffs on Sunday, and I forget the name of the course tomorrow.
Interesting. There you go, Brony. If you want to meet up with Nate, he'll go toe to toe with you, and we might have to film that bad boy. We might have to film it. That's anytime you can golf and there's a little bit of competition in there, and there's some stress involved.
Dude, it changes the game. Even if
Yes.
it's $5, I mean, it's insane. I have this problem where I can't close out my regular golf partner. It sucks, and I'll miss. I'll have like a 2-shot lead going into the 18th hole.
Nope.
And I'll put one in the bunker.
Yep.
And then I'll double bogey. I'll miss a putt that could at least push it. I mean, when you got money on the line.
What is it? What is that?
Do you get rattled?
I don't know.
You get
I
rattled.
think I get pissed, and then I think about the last time, and then it starts to compound into a problem.
Well, do the betting and then put a camera in your face and then see how you do.
Yeah.
It amplifies it tenfold, man.
I wouldn't think you come across as a confident young man. You'd be the last guy I think that self-doubt would creep in.
I think the pressure actually makes me play better for a while, but then when it's closing time, I can't close.
Do you throw your clubs?
It's pathetic.
Do you throw your
No.
clubs? Do you throw
No.
temper tantrums?
You know what?
That's a yes.
I have thrown a club or 7 in my life. It happens.
When everybody's watching, you just chunk it, and it actually hurts your wrist when you chunk it.
Yeah.
That's when I get pissy.
The worst is when you take the club to your own bag and then you pull
Jesus.
the club out, like your next club out, and the smack of the bag was so aggressive that you snapped a iron or something like that. That's when things really...
You can't. Yeah, you just gotta take a deep breath, baby. That's what you do. You take
right.
a deep, deep breath. Man, a lot of stuff going on in hockey last night. Nothing big with Vladdy. Wondering what the hell is going to happen with him. We'll see what happens with him.
Did you see that tweet or picture he sent out on Instagram?
No.
Anyway,
I missed
Charlie,
that.
you did. You
Whoa,
tweeted.
whoa.
On Twitter, I did think it was interesting, and here's why.
What do you do?
So Vladdy, which I realized I didn't even follow him, and it's probably because he never tweets. So somebody else quote tweeted Vladdy. He sent out a picture of a body of water. I don't know if it was a intercoastal or if it was the ocean, whatever it is. I believe it's in Miami.
Yeah, he's in Miami.
And so I'm looking at him thinking, well, he never tweets. So I start looking at his timeline. The last time he had tweeted was Bobby Plager's death, unfortunately, in March of 21. Before that, it was some type of charity situation,
Yeah.
I believe, in 2020.
quiet.
So this dude never tweets. And with all of the talk of trades, I just looked at that. I go, I just wonder, does that mean anything? Now, maybe it did. But I mean, if you're Vladdy and you never tweet, and all of a sudden you throw out your first tweet in, 16 months, right when people are talking about you being traded? I just wonder, was he kind of messing with us a little bit?
I think he was.
Of course.
I don't think someone who never tweets suddenly tweets, and it's sort of a beautiful scenic with no defined meaning behind it. I think that is
I
intentional.
follow him on Instagram. He tweets, excuse me, he puts out a lot of pics of him and his kids and stuff like that. So he's consistent on that for the most part. But the Twitter stuff, man, you got to go an extra step with Twitter if you're not used to doing it. You know, Instagram's just easier to do. It's you put a picture up, but Twitter, there's meaning. There's a different meaning for that. What does that say right there, Sethy boy? What's it say right there on TSN?
This would be wild. What team would be the best fit for Tarasenko?
Okay. I was wondering if they said anything about that tweet. But yeah, we'll see what happens with him, man. But like the Blackhawks, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going down. So funny though. Last night, Emily Kaplan, she's kind of like, she the Phoenix Coyote or Arizona Coyotes drafted kid, right? and the kids were supposed to go to probably somewhere else, maybe Seattle, but they went to Arizona. And let's be honest, man, 2002, that draft day changed my life. It's the best feeling in the world. I got lucky to go to one of the best organizations in the world. But you're there, and all of a sudden Arizona picks you up, and you're good enough to try to make that team. A, you're going to look at it like, I'll probably crack that lineup. But B, you're cracking that lineup in front of 5,000 people. That's a joke. And so Emily Kaplan goes up to him like, "Hi, how's this? You're a college guy. Is this exciting to play in front of a college atmosphere?" Yeah, that'd be cool because I've already played college in a way bigger environment in Minnesota, and now I'm going to play another smaller environment in the NHL. Yeah, that's a really cool idea. That's going to be fun. No, it's not. It's a joke.
What did he say?
He's like, we're going to get bigger capacity in a couple years anyway, or something like that. It's like, Jesus, Emily. Like, no, it's not cool. It's a joke. Oh, Lord. Anyway, sorry. I don't mean to chirp her. I don't mean to be like that.
You want to hear something from her last
Yeah,
night?
go ahead.
What's the long-term projection for Marco Kasper?
First of all, she's interviewing Stevie Yzerman.
Oh.
And who is, GM of the Red Wings?
Yeah.
In their third year of a rebuild.
Well, he probably could play all 3 forward positions, but we draft him as a centerman. We think he has underrated skill, and we think we have high hopes from him. Very excited to pick him.
Where do you view the Detroit Red Wings in your rebuild?
Well, it's my 3rd year as a GM, so I think we're in year 3 of the rebuild.
She's just...
That's fair. That's a fair question.
I blame him more for that.
Yeah, that was a fair question.
That's a fair question.
That's a good one. That's a good. Nate was trying. He was trying. Emily's fine, dude. She's all good.
Oh yeah, you love her.
I don't love anybody, but I'm just saying.
I thought you loved the
I love
Deus.
you guys.
This
I love
is
you
the
guys.
second day in a row you've backed off an opinion when you've been pressed on it. Yes,
Oh,
it is.
no. I brought this up. I chirped her off the bat. You were reaching the chirp. Mine was justified. Now, yesterday, I'll explain. What did we talk about yesterday? Oh, the Braves. So I go.
The chop.
I go to the guys. I go, well, something offended me last night. And, of course, Nate, rabbit ears, pop right up and goes to chop. And then they said something about, who was it, Helsley? Is it a little bit this and that? And I'm like, it's so petty. And, like, they're doing the chop because they love that damn team. They just spend $300 to go watch that team so they could chop and cheer for them. And if you think that's I just don't get it. And then I guess somebody on a text line thought I wasn't joking. And she's like, yeah, I get it. They should cut that out. I go, no. No, I was being facetious. And then I kind of backpedaled a little bit. Is that what you're saying, Nate?
Yeah.
Because it is a petty-ass thing.
So being there, okay, I noticed this. So they don't give out the foam tomahawks anymore. Mm-hmm. So now they turn out the lights and people have their cell phone and they make a chop motion. But I guess you could pretend it's not a chop because it's a cell phone. It's still the same kind of deal. And then they don't amplify the ooh, but people do it anyway. It's not as loud, but people are still doing it, I guess, because they grew up doing that. So they're still kind of doing it.
So, do they play music at all? Is there a drum beat?
There is.
I'm asking. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, there is a sound, but it seems more like it's what's the word? It's more like of an industrial sound as opposed to what would like war drums with Native Americans. It's a different sound, but it's all still kind of the same spiel. And they don't do the Native American war chant that they did, even though some people are still doing it in the crowd with their cell phone. They put the lights on their cell phone.
Because they love their team.
And they make the chop
Because they
motion.
love their team. And they're rooting for their team who they love and spend money to watch. Not because they're making fun. We don't like you. I don't get it.
What if, though, to play devil's advocate, Ryan Helsley, who did complain about this in 2019 because he's Cherokee. How do you feel about that?
Well, I would be like, that bothers you? I'd be like, that bothers you?
Well, no, he said it does.
I know, but like, why? I would be like, well, why does that bother you?
Because he views it as offensive.
But why though? Like, I know, but I'm asking.
It's his
I wanna
opinion.
know. I'm curious. I'd be curious to know. Like, this bothers me because they used to do this back in the 1800s or something. And I'd be like, oh, okay. But just to be offended by that, I'm like, I don't know. Again, I'm not offended by anything unless you talk about my little baby kitty or my puppy dogs. But anything else, I'm like, whatever. It's just me.
But do you feel like he has the right to be offended? Because that's the thing. It's about perspective.
Yeah, that's fine. But you're going to change. You got to change this whole thing up and change that because you're a little bit offended. I don't know. Just like,
They have made changes. I wonder if it's enough.
is it enough for you?
Is it enough for the folks that got offended by it?
You
Like,
think
I
it'll
get
pay?
it. If someone's offended by it, I could understand why. And I think they've tried to change it, but it's still, to me, kind of the same deal with maybe just a little different flavor to it.
Yeah.
I look at it more as because, again, it doesn't offend me personally. But I do think if you have an opposing player who's a Native American who spoke about this 3 years ago, and then he's pitching, at that point, I feel like you're almost doing it on purpose when he's pitching.
Yeah, I mean, cheering for your team on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they did it because it's him. They do this.
Does he?
That's still.
But you remember that series. We were
Yeah.
out there. That was, when that happened, by the way, because we were out there for that series. And I was always somebody, when covering sports, I just want a nice, easy day.
Yeah.
I just want to do a couple live shots. I want to
out.
cover the game. Now, don't get me wrong. There are certainly things more important than sports. When that story came out, I just said, I just knew my news department. That's the type of stuff where all of a sudden
Yep.
it's the focus of the whole series.
And
It's the
they
focus
tell
of the
you how to
whole
cover
series.
the job that you've been doing successfully.
Never mind anything that happened during the game. That's going to be it. And that's why it's just like, okay, I don't know. Let's get him on and ask him. We'll see what happens. Just to point this out, it was Sharon that texted that in cam, Giona found. He didn't like Sharon for some reason. I don't know. They have a thing going on right now. They don't like
Did we want to get Helsley on next week?
Get him on.
You want to get him on?
Damn right.
I'll get him on.
Let's ask him. See what's up. Timmy Van Gogh, I hope you guys can get someone on to talk about Jimmy
Snugs?
I read his shot compares to Austin Matthews. Oh, come on. And his ability to stealthy find open ice in the ozone that reminds people of Brett Hall. Timmy, come on. And then he skates like Mario Lemieux. And then he's as tough as Tony Twist. And he hits like Wendell Clark. And he's a leader like Stevie Eiserman. Dang, he's going to be awesome. Well, Andy's coming on at 9 o'clock. He knows about him. And everybody has a good shot. And you should be in the stealthy zone if you do have a good shot. So, that's probably why he's pretty good. I get what you're saying. Who was it that chimed in? Oh, it was Timmy. But, yeah, well, Andy will break him down for you. I'm not gonna, want me to lie to you and say, hey, I saw him play? Like, I don't know. I can watch highlights of a dude. Doesn't mean that you know his game. But we'll see, man. It's pronounced Snoogarod. Snoogarud.
They call him
Snugs.
Big Snug.
Big Snug, dude. Ask Charlie if he really believes the guy who plays the music in Atlanta actually realizes it's Helsley. Does he look Native American? Does he?
I don't know.
Does that matter?
I don't know, because maybe.
Well, I mean, he's Native American.
well, no one knows. Well,
But you said it seemed intentional.
Yeah, intentional.
I don't think anyone really
He looked like-
understood who O'Brien Helsley was.
Well, here's my point. Again, this is not about me.
It's
and
about
if it
you.
offends
Let's make
me,
it about you.
My point is, how many Native Americans play baseball?
I
In
don't
the
know.
last several years, I remember Jabba Chamberlain, I believe Jacoby Ellsbury, Ryan Helsley. So if there's one dude where it was that was a national story. Everybody was talking about that. And if there's one dude who comes through, and I think he's the only person that I've heard of that says, hey, this bothers me. I think it's okay out of respect for that dude to not do it. I don't think that's asking too much when Ryan Helsley's pitching.
To tell the fans not to do it.
Well, I mean, fans are there's always going to be a couple fans that do whatever they want.
Yeah.
You can't control
Yeah,
a
that's what I
mob
mean.
of people.
Yeah, they're going to do it even more than if you tell them not to do it. So it's kind of like. But for the guy not to play the music, is that what you're saying? Yeah,
I don't know how
fine.
it works in terms of the drum, the music. I mean,
They
back
don't-
in the day, like I'll tell you this, as a person who grew up watching TBS, when you saw the chop on TV and you heard that music, it looked really cool. And I'm not trying to get into what it means and the meaning and why people are offended. I understand all that. I'm just saying, like, the first time I went to a Braves game was actually the wild card game, the first one ever, the crazy outfield, infield fly rule. And I remember being in that stadium, Turner Field, for the first time amongst the chop and just growing up watching that. It is a very cool thing with
Powerful.
the music.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not saying I get the meaning and why people are pissed, but it was one of those sports traditions that because the Superstation was a cable network that everybody watched, we all grew up watching that for 15, 20 years when the Braves were in the playoffs every year.
And like I said, I think it's changed. They don't prompt it with the tomahawk on the big board and stuff like that, but it's still there to a certain extent. It's just a different sort of chop.
Exactly.
Like now it could
Come on.
it could be chopping broccoli.
Chopping broccoli. Remember that on was that Dana Carvey?
Dana Carvey.
Yep, he was great.
That was a great skit.
Ironic too. Florida wants Vladdy along with Malkin, but they got to clear cap space with Bobrovsky because of Knight. She also called Shane Wright Sean. Look, we've all done that. I screw up every damn day. She's smarter than me.
That we
she's better
tried to
than me.
mock her for was fine.
Yes,
She
yeah.
basically said, look, this is a rebuild. Where's it at?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that.
The other one, though, like when you ask a kid, are you excited about playing in a college atmosphere? When you just turned pro, it's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. Actually, it's very embarrassing.
What I loved was the parents with the tongue kiss. You see that?
No.
You didn't see that?
Oh, God. Pull it up.
See, I stayed up late last night because of the Cardinals game. So I'm switching back and forth with the draft. And then on Twitter, everybody's showing this video. I believe it's the parents of a kid who was drafted. And so they're all excited. Their kid gets drafted. So they go to kiss each other. But they both put the tongue out. And so all of the broadcasters like, oh, all right, yeah. What happens in Montreal stays in Montreal. Let's do this. All right.
Look that up. I want to see. Are they good looking at least? Because some of the...
Good-looking young couple.
Yeah.
Probably early
need to
40s.
look it up?
Those kids... No, we don't need to look it up. You're right. Thank you, Jimmy. You're a voice of reason. Why do I always want to see things that I don't
This
want to
was like
see?
this was like the
I
most
don't
viral
know.
thing from the draft, though.
Let's see. Oh God. Yeah. Kate just sent me the. Oh my God.
The makeout?
Kate, we've never done that in front of people. Oh my God.
Dude, they were into that. They were ready to go celebrate.
I'll tell you this though. I did get emotional when I see the parents cry. I do. And a lot of those parents are probably well off and stuff like that. And they probably. But I just remember my mom and dad just being so damn emotional. I
can't imagine.
Like it just changes your life, you know. You just. My parents came home after I had a party, and they decked the whole neighborhood out with devil stuff, putting it on our neighbor's car. It just was. It's awesome, man. And then you get hyped up all summer and like, let's go. I'm a part of this damn team. They picked me. Let's go. God damn, man. I like seeing the parents get emotional like that. Why does everybody who's never seen these guys act like they've seen them, including Andy? That was capitalized. Andy didn't know anything about him until last night. Stop giving him so much credit.
Maybe he did.
Listen to me, homie. I chirp Andy more than anybody. Hardcore, more than anyone. But I know how hard he works about this nerdy stuff. He did know about that kid. He's been talking to Army and stuff like that. He knows those guys. So you got to give him a little credit. Is he nerdy at times? Yes. Was there a stupid-ass article on the paper today? Yes. But Andy knows his stuff.
Did you see what he did, though? Did you see the cutaways that you could see Andy in there holding up a sign? Bring back the slop. At the draft. And then so I was like, did I see that? So I'm like, well, for that cutaway, I'm looking again. Next time there was another sign, down with Frank.
We're with tuna. Oh my God! It's so we love them all. We do, and that's why it's just like we laugh at it because it's
I'm
like
not even kidding. The slop could very easily re-originate on high noon, anytime. Slot noon to 2.
Yeah.
We need a little life.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
What do
man.
you got on the high noon? What do you got on there?
What? Noon to 2?
Yeah, what do you got on there?
Well, you got instant offense.
Yeah. Oh,
You.
All right, no shortage there.
No. He doesn't
But,
backpedal like I do.
Rammer when he's in town. Our new guy Cole, Jimmy Hewer. We go
Jimmy,
around.
hey.
All right.
But yeah,
You know,
we're not afraid of controversy.
You know, Nate, you could have me on any time if I'm on the road.
Well, I don't want to abuse you.
It's not abuse. I work here.
Timmy goes, wow, Killjoy Cam. Way to take the wet blanket crown from Brian Hoffman. Oh, I like Hoffy.
About what?
What did I do again?
Emily Kaplan?
Which is the Emily Kaplan thing? Hoffy doesn't chirp Emily Kaplan, I'll tell you that right now. He's a
You know
good
what?
human being.
Hoffman's
bad human
great.
being.
I love that guy. But,
Yeah.
man, he comes across like he's a 7-year-old angry guy on
He does.
Twitter. Everything bothers him.
Oh, you're
And
right.
you know what he never does?
You're right.
We're talking about a guy who don't work here, and he should. I love Hoffman. I wish
He was
he's got
great.
a new deal, so good for him.
Yep.
He's a dad. But, like, he never, like, interacts. He always quote tweets stuff, you know, and then, like, kind of punches down on
I
it.
see it.
He interacts with me.
I see it.
I'm talking about what I see on there. He always quote tweets something and makes some sarcastic comment. And everything annoys him.
Well-
Everything does.
I like that, but it's usually strictly baseball. He's very passionate about the Cardinals.
Politically, too, he gets in there a little bit.
Does he?
Yeah.
And I like the one he did quote tweet recently. I thought was very funny because I do think there's this nostalgia about baseball, about how back in the day everybody was so much better, and you had a 4-man rotation, and dudes threw 330 innings, and somebody was basically comparing the fact that Sandy Alcantara had a bunch of complete games. And they said, hey, Sandy Koufax had 1 million complete games in his final 2 years, and he threw 660 innings. And it was kind of a tweet saying, your modern pitcher, right, they're soft. And I did think that Hoffman had a good retort. And he goes, what happened after that? Why were those the last 2 years of Sandy Koufax's career? Well, he never pitched again because his freaking arm essentially fell off. He couldn't feel his elbow. So that's also part of the story, which is pretty important.
Yeah, but you look at Bob Gibson, how many complete games he had, and he pitched for a long, long time.
Right, but Sandy Koufax retired at what, the age of 30, 31?
Yeah, right.
Because his arm hurt him so bad.
Because he had health issues. Other guys did, but it was a different game. It isn't who's tougher. It was a different game. You know, now relievers are used more effectively than they were in the past. You have specialty relievers. And back then, guys knew you're going to pitch. And if your arm hurt, you pitched anyway.
Well, the difference now is the money. If Sandy Koufax was making $36 million, there's no way on earth they throw him that much.
Yeah.
No way.
I mean, everybody was tougher back in the day. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
I just think, you know.
In every way of life, they were tougher back
Some
then.
players
I agree with that.
didn't make the money they're making today, but compared to, you know, what the economy was and the value of that contract, it's still, you know, far behind what it is today. But it was still a big investment. It was just back then. That's how baseball operated. You have a starter. He goes as deep as he can. Starting pitchers had a different approach. They didn't show everything in the first couple innings, right? They would save something that could help them in the 5th, 6th, 7th. Guys don't do that. They come and empty the tank now and go as far as they can go. It's just a different game.
Geo chimes and goes, nothing says Native American heritage like the name Ryan Helsley. All 132nd of it. Did I say that right? 132nd of it?
I don't really understand.
Is that an Elizabeth Warren?
He's like Elizabeth Warren, kind of like.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
That's
How
the
about
thing.
He can have his opinion, and who really cares? Thanks for your input. We're going to continue our sports pageantry that we've been doing for decades. Thank you, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's how we should handle
A lot of
stuff.
Not everything, but a lot of stuff. Like, no, this is our heritage. We're gonna do it. We love you. We love Native Americans, but this is people come here to do this, and they love the team. They love the team.
Like, I think they love the team, and I think some of this. Well, I get it. Like, and you can't put yourself in that position if you're from that group and you feel offended by that. But like some of the names, I don't think were meant to degrade or demean any group.
Yeah.
I think it was, in a way, putting them up on a pedestal.
Exactly.
But still, if a group is offended by it, you do take that into account.
Of course.
I don't think there. I mean, to be honest with you, some of the Cleveland Indian mascots over the years.
The big headed one?
They weren't making, Native Americans look like someone you want to put up on a pedestal. So, there's that part of the story.
No, I've always thought, this is my opinion, there's degrees to this. I think most people, unless you're just like, your foot is in the ground and you will never relinquish your opinion. There's a difference between Redskins and Braves. There's a difference between Redskins, even Indians. To me, I look at it less as being offensive and more as being inaccurate, right? I mean, this was 500 years ago that we thought we were in India. And it's just odd to me that 500 years later, we would still use a term that we know was inaccurate 500 years ago. Like Bradley is the Braves. I don't think that is offensive in any way, shape, or form. We have no mascot up there. We have a gargoyle mascot. So I do think there's a difference between the Redskins and the Braves. Yeah. And I do think you can
that's fair.
You can honor the culture of some of these Native Americans. I think the team or university that does it best, and the reason I think Florida State does not get the blowback that the Chiefs get or the Braves or whatever, is because they've invested a ton of money in scholarships for Native Americans. So they say, hey, we look at this as we're honoring the Seminole tribe, but also we're going to invest in your culture with scholarships for the school and try to prove to you through opportunity that actually we're not trying to degrade your people.
Yeah, I get you, man. I get you.
But when you're the Cleveland, what are they, the Guardians now? When you're the Cleveland Indians and your mascot is Chief Wahoo.
Chief Wahoo. But they made a movie out of it, and everybody loved it. One of the best comedies ever. One of the best baseball movies ever. I don't know.
Do you want to hear, though?
No.
Just because I think context matters. Do you want to hear Helsley's quote from 2019?
Please.
Okay. So this is Derek Gould, October 5th,
of course.
2019.
He wanted this article.
Helsley says, okay, quote, I think it's a misrepresentation of the Cherokee people or Native Americans in general, Helsley said Friday at SunTrust Park, which is now Truist. Quote, just depicts them in this kind of caveman-type people way who aren't intellectual. They're a lot more than that. It's not me being offended by the whole mascot thing. It's not. It's about the misconception of us, the Native Americans, and it devalues us and how we're perceived in that way or used as mascots, the Redskins and stuff like that. That's the disappointing part.
So
that stuff like this still goes on. It's just disrespectful, I think. That's from Helsley.
Is he talking specifically about the chop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, Helsley is a good dude, man. You'd love him.
Really?
Really good guy, thoughtful guy, smart guy who happens to throw 102 miles an hour with the full repertoire.
Hey, Charlie, I'm totally on board that the Redskins name is inappropriate, but why in the world did Marquette have to change from the Warriors to the Golden Eagles? Stop the madness.
Yeah. I'm not the representative liberal that has a take on every single one of these names. As I said, I think there's degrees.
I get you.
Like if we named a team nowadays the Whiteskins or the Blackskins or the Redskins, that would never fly. But that name was 100 years ago. I don't look at Braves personally. I don't look at the name Braves as a pejorative. I look at it the opposite. To me, brave is something to be. You're honoring that culture. That's noble to me.
Yep.
You know, Geneseo State, they're now the Blue Knights. You know what their name originally was? Serial axe murderers. And that was too far.
That was too much, though, Jimmy.
Yeah, that was too far.
Because it's frowned upon to do that, you know? Hoping the Blues can trade to get that Jagger Fucus off the board. Do I sound more hockey than strict now? Yes, you do, Carlos Danger. Yes, you do. Sanderson agrees with Nate. Oh, my God. I agree with Crazy Nate. Good, man. He's starting to like you. I think a lot of guys are starting to like you,
because
Sir
most
Nathaniel.
common sense people that don't give a damn about the dumbest things in the world wouldn't even think twice about sports pageantry and getting offended. But that's the culture we live in because a certain ideology are a bunch of crybabies.
So do you think Redskins should still be around?
It didn't offend me.
But you don't see how that's offensive?
I don't care. It's a sports team.
So you could have Blackskins, Whiteskins?
Sure. Do it.
The Whiteskins are like, what's up?
Don't offend my people.
I'd rather be the tan skin because I'm pale. I don't look as good.
I think in this country, and again, to me, this is not a huge issue for me at all. I just think there are a lot of people in this country who are incapable of ever putting themselves not in their own perspective, not in their own shoes. In terms of Ryan Helsley has a different perspective as a Native American. Like, I can respect that. I don't have to agree with everything everybody says.
I respect
but
that.
I think it's fair to say a dude who grew up in the Cherokee Nation has a much different outlook on this than myself.
And I guarantee if you knew him, you'd probably think of it differently because, trust me, he's not a guy who's going to complain and whine. He's kind of a guy who doesn't like to talk a lot.
That's what I'm saying. He's not a protester.
Yeah.
He's not a dude who's like
not an activist.
at the rally with a sign.
No, I know.
He's a badass that throws 102 miles an hour.
He's a good dude, and he felt this way. And I do think we should respect the way people
We'll
feel.
change the whole thing up then. You're right. Stop doing it.
And I think we should change Blue Jays and Cardinals because I talk to the birds and they are offended.
Yes.
So I'd like to.
He was
change
bird
it all.
watching yesterday.
We need to just have. I don't know where we go. Maybe just city names, but even those are racist. St.
Numbers.
Louis. St. Louis is truly racist because King Louis.
Just do numbers.
What did he do?
Oh boy, slave
What
owner.
didn't he?
Yeah,
What didn't he do?
they wanted to tear down the statue.
Everybody back in the day, unfortunately, there's a lot of slave owners.
I do think that context
1700s.
is important when we look at it. Like, as a species, have we evolved? I think in some ways society has evolved. I don't know which way it's going now because it seems like we're in a very tumultuous time. But back in the day, behavior that was normal would be frowned upon today. And we all came from that. All of us. Well, no matter where you're from.
Jimmy, you can't even say a woman can get pregnant.
I ain't a
That's the culture
biologist,
we're in.
dang it.
That's the culture we're in.
Well, they did a couple weeks ago.
That one I would say seems obvious.
Well, they forgot about it.
And it is obvious.
And then they remembered it again when the whole, Roe versus Wade. It is what it is. I respect Helsley.
Is like, at what point is speech or pageantry limited because a certain portion, a very small percentage of people are offended? And if we play this game and you give 1 inch, they take a mile and then they're never satisfied.
But here's where I disagree with that, and I think Charlie's right. Like, Charlie,
Ring the bell.
Ring a bell.
Like you said, right, one size doesn't fit all. You got to take kind of issue by issue. They're not all the same. Like, to say, are there two genders isn't the same thing as saying, well, because there are two genders, it's okay to say the Redskins should stand.
And also, this gets back to the whole culture war. Nobody in real life discusses these things. I've never had a conversation about birthing people, what a woman is, ever in my life, besides this show, which we always bring up these cultural issues. And oh, by the way, like, for people not to realize there's a difference between Redskins and Braves, that blows my mind. I went to Bradley. Again, Braves.
Did you?
Didn't bother me. There was a school, Pekin. I've talked about this.
Pekin.
Their nickname was, and I'm going to say this on air, so don't get me fired. Their nickname up until 1980 was the Chinks.
Oh, dang.
Their mascot was a little Chinese man with a hat. I mean, do we keep that, Nate? Like, is there no line of a?
That's not even funny.
But that's my point.
Why
But that's my point. Like, can we agree? There's a difference between Redskins and the Pekin Chinks. Look it up. Look up their mascot. And Braves. And if we can't have an honest conversation, like, we're being dumb in my mind.
And to be honest with you, where did that come from? Back in the day, the railroads were built by Chinese people that came to this country.
A lot of them died.
And were treated badly.
Yes.
And that was a word that was used to describe them. It's part of our history. Our history should be taught the way it was. People don't think that way. And a lot of these things that are now, I think, maybe too extreme, but a lot of these things in the beginning, I can't call them that. No, you can't anymore, are for the better. Like, a lot of these things that we've been through together as a culture, I think have been for the good. Has it gone too far in some cases? Yes, I'll agree with you there. But it's created a lot of good, too.
The Chinese did have a rough time getting the railroad going on, man, because they were on like a time crunch and they had to like meet in the mountains, with the both big parties, blowing up dynamite, getting caught in there. Oh, man. I just watched a thing on it, how the men that built America. It's really, really interesting. Freeburg, Illinois is still using midgets as their mascot. I don't like that. It's little people.
To me, again, you guys can all rip me. That's a little different. I just, for level of offensiveness, I don't put midgets
because
in the
you're
same...
6'5". That's why. And you know what? You know what?
I don't
selfish.
put it. Wow. I don't put it in the same bucket as the Pekin Chinks and the Washington Redskins.
As a
well,
under 6
you
foot
should.
kind of guy.
If it offends the little people who don't want to be called midgets, how about trying to view it from their perspective?
I do.
You self-centered.
I haven't
6'5".
I haven't heard a lot about that. Am I wrong?
You're a heightist.
About the Freeburg midget?
No, but I'm being honest.
You're a heightist.
Are there protesters who go out there and protest the name of the midgets or the little giants?
Well,
I'm asking.
Well, guess what?
Little giants.
Once the season's over, Cam and I, let's go do that.
100%.
You and me.
I'm not 6 foot, and that offends me.
No, but the tall guy over here is it's fine to me.
I put that in a different category.
Heights,
Well, of course you do.
Do you not?
Heights.
No, I don't.
No, I don't.
Really?
It's all the same to me.
Okay.
It's all
Cam
offensive
Jansen.
to me.
Cam Jansen. So you're telling me the name midgets
Oh God, it hurts.
is
it hurts.
the same as Redskins?
Yes.
All right. Hey, you're entitled to your opinion.
I know.
In
Just
the
like
United
Elsie.
States of
I do
America.
think that it's not. It's like you said. It's not whether it insults us or offends us. It's the group that that it involves. You have to listen to them.
Okay.
That's the point
But
you were
this
making
is-
about some
yes,
of these
but
things.
this is where I'll actually agree with Nate. We do.
Oh my God.
We do sometimes take it too far, which is why I don't think Braves is offensive. Now, probably all these names are going to go. I'm not saying that's right, but I think all these names are going to go because that's the trend that's happening. I don't think Braves is anywhere near
I agree with you.
the realm of Redskins or the Pekin Chinks.
That's not funny.
Or midgets.
By the way, I'm saying that
not
for
funny.
historical perspective. You can look it up.
What were they thinking on that?
Yeah, but even midgets is in that same group. I think Braves is different because it describes a person who was a warrior back in the day. I that's different than calling someone out for skin color or lack of height, which you're blessed with. You know, you have height privilege.
So
people are generally nicer to tall people,
Yes,
and
they are.
and the little people have to go through life with this chip on their shoulder
Yes.
because of guys like you.
I have to ask now. So are you being serious?
Yes, in that I do think it's in that same group where
So
it
you
could
think
offend
midgets
people.
is as bad as Redskins?
No, but I think it's in the same group where you have to ask the people who are directly impacted by it, the little people, if they're offended. Like everything.
Well, that's the point of it. It's like you just don't.
Who gets
like the
to
chop.
gauge the
See,
who's
offensiveness?
gauging this?
See, but-
Only the
so-
liberals get to gauge
So
the offensiveness.
hear me
It's a
out.
rigged game.
Like you're saying Redskins, which I think most fair-minded people would say had to go. Okay.
9-8.
Okay. Well, just hear me out. But then there's other things like the chop or whatever. Okay, which I don't think is there. But I think that's in the same bucket with things like midget. Like if it affects Ryan Helsley, who's a good dude, the chop. Okay, where some people don't look at it. Why would that be offensive? I think you have to ask the same thing of little people if they're offended by that nickname. I think it's in the same sphere.
All right. I'm just throwing this out there. I do think there's a difference, though, if you look historically at a class and how they were treated in this country. And so that's where I think if you're talking about African Americans or Native Americans, to me, we're small people. Have they been totally oppressed
Did you
by
see
the government
little
over the
Tyrion
years?
Lannister in Game of Thrones?
I never saw Game of
He was
Thrones.
getting beaked like no other. Even his sister said you should have died instead of their mother dying because you are irrelevant because you're a midget.
Here's the deal. A movie you and I both love, Willow.
That's my doggy's
They
name.
embraced the small people. Those people.
Yeah, but he wasn't getting laid and
Those
stuff.
people in the movie had a great role. They were warriors. They were smart.
Willow.
Willow is actually a movie that it.
Hell, the Native Americans kicked our
pushes
ass for
them up.
400 years. We beat the Nazis in what, 2? They kicked our ass for 400 years. They did. Kicked our ass.
You ever been to Pittsburgh?
I have.
One of the most popular bars there had something called Midget Mondays, where I'm not kidding you. This was going on for years.
That's not funny.
And they'd throw this midget around, and they called it Midget Mondays. And if that's okay with you, then Charlie, my friend, I think
Charlie was there.
There's a group that goes around that does midget wrestling. They used to have it at a bar in
toss 'em.
if you think that's okay, Charlie, then you and your right-wing buddies go have a beer
ahead.
and beat up
Go
on a
ahead.
little guy.
So I'm right wing now.
Bully.
You
So-
tall. You're not only right wing. You belong to a cult of tall.
I am.
Charlie
right-wingers.
walks into a bar, everybody stops and notices him because of his height. Every single time. He has the advantage.
He's
So-
a heightist. He's a
I
heightist.
know.
I am. I'm a heightist. But also, it sounds like, and I'm not saying this is okay, but it sounds like, what do I call them? Small people, little people?
I don't know.
I don't want to use the wrong word. For Midget Monday back in the day, it sounds like the small people were actually embracing this and getting paid to go there and partake.
Because they couldn't get a job anywhere else because they're small. So this is what they had to do.
There's lots of jobs for small people.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Where? Can't
Jobs,
get there. You
low
going
to
to
the
drive
ground
there?
stuff.
You going to drive there? How
Low
you
to
get
the
there?
ground stuff.
So let's say that there was a team with a racist
Weed
name.
whacking.
Like, so if the Redskins ever had like a Native American, which I'm sure over the years they had, who would go on the field and do a war dance or something like that, because of a Native American did it to make money, then it was okay?
All I'm trying to say is,
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I do not view this war on small people that you guys are trying to wage, not me, because I look at them as equal.
Mm-hmm.
So really, I'm going to flip this on you guys. You somehow look at them differently. I don't. I embrace small people, little
Then why
people.
don't you call them midgets if it's okay for teams to have that nickname if you're so on board with little people?
Here's the deal, because here is where we've either taken it too far, or I think a lot of people don't know what to call people. That's fair. I think some people do it on purpose. Some people are like, no matter what, I'm going to say whatever the hell word that was said in 1920, and I'm not changing. Other people are like, hey man, I don't know what the new word is. Like, that's me.
Yeah.
I would say, dude,
They, them over here.
this is why I always say, I go out of my way. I don't want you to bother me, so I'm not going to bother you. But I don't necessarily know the new term for everything because the terms change a lot.
I
That's
told
where-
you to put the bunny back in the ball.
There you go.
Yeah,
So I'd be
but-
like, what's the new term? Brother, I'm going to call you the new term.
Yeah, except I just think for many years now, people have put out there that maybe midget isn't the best word for many years.
I call everybody dude.
It's not a new thing to say little people, right?
I think that's fair.